Hello everyone, I'm Matt Williamson. How's everyone doing? It is hot out, hasn't rained in a long time, which sure means training camp's right around the corner. Gotta love it. A lot of good questions from you today. We got the mailbag going. I skipped the mailbag last week. I just had a lot of other topics to discuss, but really good questions. Leading off here with Matt D saying, why do you think Najee gets no love from national or local media? I like Warren, but it's real easy to look good as the compliment back versus the lead that is game planned for. I hear what you're saying, and I mostly don't disagree with you. I think there's a chance Warren is special, though. In a Austin Eckler undrafted, takes a while to get credit move, but his role is easier. Certainly fewer stacked boxes, things of that nature. But back to Najee. This I'm with you on. I think that he's a very effective player. I mean, his ability to wear down a defense, the durability, the reliability, lack of fumbling, ability and protection. I still think untapped potential as a receiver. Not that he's ever going to be Eckler as a receiver, but as a untapped resource, route runner versus linebackers, more than Ben dumping it to him as a rookie. But I think a lot of it honestly has to do with fantasy football. That this has not been a great offense. I mean, he's scored some touchdowns, but not a ton. He doesn't end up on SportsCenter very often, that's for sure, with long runs. Barry Sanders-like splash, obviously, if you do. But I think that he's a little monotone for better or worse. I mean, he's reliable. He's tough. He does dirty work. He has not had an elite offensive line for his career. He certainly has not had an strong offensive system. This could be a very, very pivotal year in the national viewing of Najee Harris, because you're going to see a much more diverse run game with better blocking, with more threatening downfield passing game. And I frankly think he's coming off his best season. And I like that he's not being relied on to be a 80% touch guy out of the back or out of the backfield or anything crazy like that. Mix in a little Cordarrelle Patterson. He's got a lot to play for. Not that effort's ever been an issue, but the Steelers are dangling that contract carrot out there. I expect national, and I'm not trying to be an optimist here, but I do think, prediction, I think 1 year from now, the national perception of Harris will be better than it is now. Okay? I mean, that's just my guess. It's not a guess. That's what I think will happen. BetOnline's number one source for all your summer sports this season, from baseball, golf, and so many more. All the latest stats, news, and scores available to follow your favorite teams. Get the latest odds and lines, including the latest team matchups, player props, and odds on just about every sport out there. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to get in on the action. BetOnline, where the game starts. All right, now we're going to Michael Edward. I've been watching the Pirates. Watching Paul Skeens' abilities had me thinking if I ever seen a rookie impress like that on the Steelers team. Can you ever recall a Steelers player coming on and looking like a phenom that was among the league's best from the start? And I've been thinking about this one. I read this about an hour ago before I hit record. And I'd love, you guys have been great, by the way, of chiming in on YouTube. Please follow me there. My YouTube page, at Williamson NFL. But you guys have been great with your comments with all these. And I'd love some suggestions, because I really don't have one. I mean, as awesome as this organization has been, they've had some good rookies, but someone that would be the starter for Major League All-Star game, as a rookie type, I don't know. I mean, Marino is a rookie, Stroud is a rookie, Puka is a rookie. I mean, do we have any of those examples here in Pittsburgh? I mean, there's been a lot of really good rookie years. I mean, Joey Porter had a really good rookie year, but is it one of the best pitchers in the league rookie year? Not quite, I mean, we go back to the 70s. A lot of those guys as rookies, I mean, Joe Green, I'm sure, was really, really good, and I think he won Defensive Rookie of the Year. But they don't have a ton of Rookie of the Year even awards in their lifetime compared to all the other achievements the Steelers have had. And for much of it, it was because they were so good that it was hard to crack the lineup as a rookie. Like, I almost find this funny. Like, if you were the Steelers' first-round pick in 1976, 77, 78, you probably didn't even see the field. Like, you're definitely a backup. Of course, you're going to make the team, but think about it. Contrast that to now. I mean, every first-round pick is like, basically, you're going to be a starter. So, let alone, those LeBeau defenses when guys like James Harrison are pinned behind other great outside linebackers, or even Cam Hayward had to wait his turn, or there was always somebody ahead of the rookies blocking them. I mean, even the great prospects. And frankly, they haven't picked all that early, all that often. I mean, Ben had a highly successful rookie year and won a ton of games, but he wasn't first ballot All-Pro. I mean, he wasn't the best quarterback in the league then. Who am I missing? I'm sure there's a couple. Plaxico Burress was a high pick, and I'm sure there was a lot of defensive players that made impacts early, Rod Woodson, et cetera, et cetera. But I don't know that anyone was like in contention for best player at his position in the entire league. So not that what Skeens is doing is, well, it's very unusual. I'm also know nothing about baseball, but I think it's a little odd, in the last 50 years or so, I can't come up with a Steeler. So who am I missing? I don't know. Bruce asks, and I think this is interesting. It won't be popular, but what would you think of Mason Cole coming back in a backup role at center for very cheap, with us drafting a guard and Herbig being a phenomenal trade piece? He may be a depth option. I kind of like it because by all accounts, Cole is a really good locker room guy. I get the impression, second, third hand information, that he would accept such a role. Not that he's going to take Frazier under his wing, or anything like that, but come here with the idea that you are not a starter, but you're a depth piece. And Bruce, to take it a step further, Cole's a very capable guard too. So he would give you depth across the entire interior. We talked a lot about McCormick, that if the Steelers didn't get one of the big three centers, McCormick would have been my next choice for center. But I'm not sure that they'll cross-train him at center at all at camp. Probably not early on, but maybe as it goes along. Maybe just keep him at guard and try to specialize him there. Maybe he becomes Daniel's backup. I've brought it up a million times. I love the idea of trading Herbig, and I think you'd get something for him because he can also play three positions, not expensive. We're talking about Mason Cole at a league minimum salary. And I talk about this a lot too, back to the Herbig trades. Omar does a great job of having extra offensive linemen, not superstars, but extra NFL offensive linemen in a league that's starving for those. And you're probably saying, well, if the league was starving for them, why didn't somebody sign Mason Cole? Great point. But one more. I mean, some of these veteran deals doesn't even guarantee him a spot on the roster. If he comes here and can't do a thing, cut him and move on. You're not giving him a huge signing bonus. He bring him in for camp. He's going to, well, he won't know the system, but he'll catch on. Smarts and versatility are his assets. Snapping and being a high-end center are not. But you don't want to be an injury away from having nothing at center. So I kind of like this. And it's the first I thought of it, to be honest with you. Assuming that you have the communication, and that's a Steeler Tomlin strength, that, hey, there's a chance you start, but we are pigeonholing Frazier to be the center here. But would like to have you back in the locker room. He's great with the media. He's well liked by his teammates. And in some capacity, you'll probably end up playing this year. I don't dislike it at all. At this stage of the game, I like plucking those guys out that might not be superstars. Well, definitely aren't superstars. But you can get league minimum deals, bargains to fill out your roster that maybe ends up yielding you a 6th-round pick for Herbig. If you look at it that way, like if I can give Cole, league minimum and basically swap him for Herbig while the others learn, and I get a 6th-round pick in the deal. 6th-round pick's worth more than a league minimum contract, especially this team with the cap space they have. So, yeah, and again, I think he's a good locker room guy from what I gathered. Mike Eves asks, is the dream of a move for a wide receiver 2 just that, a dream? I don't think so yet. I know that clock is ticking. Everyone thinks that ship sailed. 2 things I want to talk about with that. I have heard a lot of the national media types, I don't know exactly who, but the Schefters and those guys that are wired in with agents and GMs saying that there's still a chance a couple or at least one prominent receiver moves before opening day. Steelers are as likely a team to trade for him as any. I absolutely believe that. Now, that doesn't mean it's going to be Ayuk. I don't think it's going to be Ayuk or Lamb or Tyreek Hill. Maybe at best it's a Godwin. Maybe Devontae Adams. Maybe Sutton, Lockett, those types. But they're wide receiver 2s here, and they would be a huge benefit. So I don't think it's a dream. I also wanted to reiterate, I think that Omar has shown patience is certainly not an issue. I mean, he will sit and wait and wait and wait until the deal he wants. That might be exactly what's happening. He might be on the phone currently with 3 or in communication with 3 different teams as we speak. You know what I mean? So I don't think that is a dream. And maybe this happens to all teams. You get to training camp, you've been there a week, and you look around and you have a long talk with your offensive coordinator and receiver coach and be like, these dudes, not named Pickens, are okay, but I had higher expectations and we were with them every day, and I don't think they're good enough. I think it's time to maybe throw in the 5th-round pick we weren't ready to before because the need's greater than we thought. Or vice versa. Man, this Wilson dude's better than I thought. We stole him. He should have been a 1st-round pick. Possible as well. One other thing I want to throw out there is I've talked a great deal about how Arthur Smith, his offense was at the bottom of the league in usage of 11 personnel. And I even talked about it yesterday. 1 back, 1 tight end, 3 receivers. But I know you guys aren't Falcons experts, but the way they used Kyle Pitts was frankly more like a receiver than a tight end. And I'm going to see if I can find this. I bet I can't, to be honest. I'll have to find someone on the internet to do it for me, or someone that has more access than I do. But I wonder if you would just change TE to WR with Kyle Pitts, where would they be? They wouldn't be at the top of the league in 11, but they wouldn't be a distant last either, I'm sure. Because the way he was lined up and the routes he ran, mostly because they were so weak at receiver besides Drake London, was way more wide receiver-esque than tight end-esque. And the Steelers don't have that tight end that is really a receiver. They just don't. I mean, there's few of them in the league. Along those lines, Steeler Takeaways asked me, if you had to choose from the current lot of wide receivers, who would be your preference to start opposite Pickens? I think we can look at this 2 ways. Our preference in a perfect world is Wilson, kind of like we talked about. Ooh, we stole one here. This guy's a really good player. That's my preference, that if that guy separates, okay, like this is legit. We got a dude. Great. That's also true, but lesser for Austin. Like he's out there beating up press man coverage, killing it in the preseason, physical, really he's come into his own, finally has an opportunity, and he's grabbing hold of that. Those are the 2 that you could look at and be like, whoa, these guys are better than we thought, and maybe they're the answer for now and beyond. I don't think anyone else on the roster could manage that. I do think who I don't want it to be, but who I expect it to be, and this isn't a knock on this player, is Van Jefferson. Like, I bet if they had to play a game a week into camp, Van Jefferson's your number 2. He's been there. He's done it. He's smart, son of a receiver coach. He's had good years, familiarity with the system. And again, I think he's going to be a contributor here. But that also would mean Wilson or Austin didn't go bonkers. You know what I mean? Like, we'll just take the bird in the hand and, well, it's fine, you know. And I do think he's fine. And by that, I don't mean crappy. So I'm glad Van Jefferson's a Steeler, more so than those other new additions. But if he is the answer to this question, that means Wilson or Austin has not gone crazy or blown anyone's doors off. You know what I mean? Like, their ceilings are just much higher. But Jefferson's floor has value. See what I'm saying? All right, guys, this was fun. There were a lot of good questions. As always, I have a lot more stuff to discuss. Just one programming note. I am taking my final vacation next week to a place that basically has no internet. And I will not be doing shows from there, but I'm going to try to pre-record one here and there. I am going to sneak to Latrobe to do my Steelers shows with Dale Thursday, Friday, and go back to where we're vacationing. Saturday, I will be officially moved in at Latrobe, and I'll be doing this podcast there, maybe even more than 5 days a week, but from my dorm room. You'll hear it bouncing off the walls. Not the best acoustics, but you'll live with it. So this week will be normal. Next week, it might be a little weird, and then it's going to be a flood of this podcast over and out. You know, over and over. So, good stuff. Let it rip. Over and out.